thing on?
It's on. We're live.
Oh, is that what we are?
Yeah.
I can't fool you up anymore. You just don't.
No, I know your game.
I know.
Yeah.
Gotta come up with something new.
Keep me on my toes.
We are Shaman and Yolanda
from
the Connected Relationship. Mm-hmm. I think that's who we are.
That is. That's who we are. Today.
And we wanted to come and talk about supporting each other through tough times.
Yeah.
So it has been a tough year for our family as far as like loss and struggle and strife and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think on top of COVID and pandemic, I mean, people's normal daily lives,
right?
Joy, celebration, but then also loss and heartache and that kind of thing. So it's been a rough year.
But I think when we're dealing with struggle and loss and tough times in our relationships, it does create a little bit of opportunity for connection.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that, yes, we're talking about loss is an example of a tough time.
Just one of many examples.
Yeah, right? and oftentimes, we've talked before about how, we're a couple, but we each have our individual paths that we're journeying, a path of growth and discovery, and sometimes things are hard for an individual in a couple, whether that be with health or mental health, with job challenges,
or your
with
kids,
relationship challenges. I mean, the list can go on and on.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that we're going through tough times.
Right.
But I mean, as far as like in the context of relationships, there's a few things that we can do.
Yeah, and this is the opportunity through these tough times to connect at that deeper level that I think all of us kind of hope and wish for.
Right. I mean, I think it's really important that you come through these things and your relationship grow. You
can. There's an opportunity for your relationship to grow.
We don't always look at it like that because we look at it as like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling.
Right.
But it really can be an opportunity for someone who is struggling to have someone that supports them and leans on, that they can lean on.
Right.
And it's really an opportunity for someone who isn't necessarily struggling in a relationship to provide support. I said sport. Provide support. Support. And provide something for the other person to lean on.
Yeah, in the therapy world we call it holding space.
Right, holding space.
There's an ancient story.
Okay, what's this ancient story?
From the book of Job.
Oh, that ancient story, yeah.
That we're familiar with. But that's an example of maybe a group of people who did hold space very well at the very beginning of Job's journey, and then it fell apart. But so we're going to give you some tips today for holding space for your partner as they are going through something difficult, or maybe individually, or maybe the two of you are going through something difficult together.
Right, and none of it's rocket science, but I think a lot of it is hard for us to put into practice.
Ooh, because we don't.
Because especially if you're a fixer, I'm a fixer, and I'm sorry if you're a fixer. You blow this all the time.
Well, it's just going to be totally contrary or
to everything that is in your nature to try to do for someone. Right. Because the first thing I always go back to is, what's broke, let's fix it.
That's the safe, that's the less vulnerable path.
Well, it's the control, right? Like I can fix this, I can control this, I can make it better. And no, not necessarily. So the first thing here is don't jump into problem solving mode, right? Really just be with your partner.
It's interesting because we have these things called mirror neurons. It's the part of our brain that
sounds like a 50-cent word.
It's the empathy part of our brain, right? It's why when we are watching a video of someone who hits their funny bone, we wince, or it's why when we see someone yawn, we yawn, right? It's that connection. Our brains are connecting, right? So when someone that we care about is struggling or in pain, right, our brain is like fix it, fix it, fix
right,
it.
Right. That's what we want to do.
So we have to recognize and honor that that's a legit part of our brain.
Right. Right.
and to just kind of turn down the volume on that voice that says fix it.
Right.
Right. And just be present.
Right. So the next thing is focus on listening to your partner. Right? Like intently listen to your partner.
Focus more on listening than responding.
Right. Sometimes there just aren't answers for things.
Right.
and it's okay.
Right.
It's okay to not have answers for things.
When we're in the hardest part of something, like there's nothing that anyone is going to say that is going to make that situation better.
No, you're right. I mean, and that goes back to that, I want to fix it.
Right.
But it's just, you're going to make it worse.
Right. So just kind of let yourself off the hook. Like, there's not going to be anything that's going to be the thing for you to say. So just being present with your partner and listening is going to actually be more impactful and meaningful than any words that you can say.
And then I think the last thing to kind of wrap up today is just to kind of open yourself up to feel, right? This is the hard one for a lot of us, especially fixers, because they're like, they shut down emotions, they go to solve the problem,
right?
And get us back to the status quo immediately because everything's safe there.
And I think that's a societal thing too,
right?
I think that's kind of what we do in our society. So there are strong emotions that go along with going through difficult things, right? There's strong emotions on the person who's going through that.
Right.
And then don't be surprised if, as the kind of being present and holding space person, that you have some emotions yourself. I mean, it's really super hard and super vulnerable to be present with someone that you care about.
Right.
And they're in struggle.
Right. It's okay to feel.
It's okay to
on
feel.
both ends of that. It's okay to have emotions on being the person that's struggling or the person that's providing support. It's okay.
Yeah, and sometimes just kind of putting words to what those emotions might be. We know from neuroscience, just putting a word with that emotion kind of helps ease some of the intensity of the emotions. So just saying, wow, this is really sad, or I'm really scared, or it seems like you're, really frustrated, or whatever it is. Right. And breathe, lots of breathing.
yeah, lots of breathing.
Lots of like putting your feet on the floor and like grounding yourself.
Right. I was just about to say being grounded like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So, unfortunately, life is tough.
It is.
Life is tough, and
but it's also very rewarding.
It is really breathtaking, I think, when we go through something really hard together.
Right.
And we're able to hold that space for our partner or be held.
Right. And I think it will shock you how much connection it can build in your relationship.
Absolutely. And the most amazing thing about that is that you don't really have to say.
You don't have to do a lot, but just be.
Just be.
Just
be in that space.
Means a lot.
That's pretty brave.
It is. So it does take courage.
It takes a lot of courage, a lot of badassery.
Right.
But you can do it.
So that's what we got today.
That's what we got.
Do we have a relationship challenge?
Yeah.
What is it? Because you didn't share it with me before we sat down. You're just making that up.
So if you or your partner are not actively going through something really challenging right now, kind of think back to a time in your relationship where one of you was going through something difficult. Kind of think that process through of how you were able to hold space, where that kind of went sideways because you didn't know that was the thing.
Right.
And kind of think through some intention for moving forward to the next difficult thing that you and your partner face.
Because one thing I can promise you is that there's always going to be difficult things to go through.
There always will be difficult things, but
such is life.
You got each other.
You do. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Have a good day.
Have a good one.